Suzi Quatro is an American singer, bass guitarist, songwriter, and actor. In the 1970s, she scored a string of singles that found success in Europe and Australia, with both Can the Can, 1973, and Devil Gate Drive, 1974, reaching No. 1 in several countries. Quatro released her self-titled debut album in 1973. Since then, she has released 15 studio albums, 10 compilation albums, and 1 live album. Other songs, including 48 Crash, Daytona Demon, The Wild One, and Your Mama Won't Like Me, also charted highly overseas. Following a recurring role as bass player Leather Tuscadero on the popular American sitcom Happy Days, her duet Stumblin' In with Smokey's lead singer Chris Norman reached No. 4 in the U.S., her only song to chart in the top 40 in her homeland. Between 1973 and 1980, Quatro was awarded 6 Bravo Autos, an award given to musicians as voted in the German teen magazine Bravo. In 2010, she was voted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Legends Online Hall of Fame. She is reported to have sold over 50 million records worldwide, and continues to perform live. Quatro's most recent studio album, Face to Face, was released in 2023 and follows the 2021 collaboration The Devil in Me with her son Richard Tuckey, who had already taken part in No Control in 2019. Quatro also remains active in radio broadcasting. Quatro was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, United States. Her father, Art, was a semi-professional musician and worked at General Motors. Her paternal grandfather was an Italian immigrant to the U.S., and her mother, Helen, was Hungarian. Her family name of Quattrocchi, 4 eyes, meaning bespectacled, was shortened to Quatro. Quatro's family was living in Detroit when she was born. She has 3 sisters, a brother, and 1 older half-sister. Her parents fostered several other children while she was growing up. Quatro grew up to be an extrovert but solitary, according to Philip Norman of the Sunday Times, and she only became close to her mother after leaving the U.S. for Britain. Her sister Arlene is the mother of actress Sherilyn Fenn. Her sister Patty joined Fanny, one of the earliest all-female rock bands to gain national attention. Her brother, Michael Quatro, is also a musician. She was influenced at the age of 6 by seeing Elvis Presley perform on television. She has said that she had no direct female role models in music, but was inspired by Billie Holiday and liked the dress sense of Mary Weiss of the Shangri-Las because she wore tight trousers and a waistcoat on top. She looked hot. Quatro received formal training in playing classical piano and percussion. Her first instrument was bongos. She taught herself how to play the bass, after her sister asked her to learn it for her first band, the Pleasure Seekers. Her father gave her a 1957 Fender Precision bass guitar in 1964, which she still uses in the studio. Quatro played drums or percussion from an early age as part of her father's jazz band, the Art Quatro Trio. Sources vary regarding whether her playing in the band began at the age of 7 or 8, and whether the instrument she played was a drum kit or percussion, bongo or congas. Subsequently, she appeared on local television as a go-go dancer in a pop music series. In 1964, after seeing a television performance by the Beatles, Quatro's older sister, Patty, had formed an all-female garage rock band called the Pleasure Seekers with 2 friends. Quatro joined too and assumed the stage name of Suzi Soul. Patty Quatro was known as Patty Pleasure. Suzi would sing and play bass in the band. The band also later featured another sister, Arlene. Many of their performances were in cabaret, where attention was, initially, focused more on their physical looks than their actual music. They sometimes had to wear miniskirts and wigs, which Quatro later considered to be necessary evils in the pursuit of success. However, they would become well-known fixtures in the burgeoning Detroit music community. The Pleasure Seekers recorded 3 singles and released 2 of these: Never Thought You'd Leave Me, What a Way to Die, 1966, and Light of Love, Good Kind of Hurt, 1968. The second of these was released by Mercury Records, with whom they briefly had a contract before breaking away due to differences of opinion regarding their future direction. They changed their name to Cradle in late 1969, not long after another Quatro sister, Nancy, had joined the band and Arlene had left following the birth of her child. Quatro moved to England in 1971 after being spotted by the record producer Mickey Most, who had by that time founded his own label, Rock Records. Most had been persuaded to see Cradle by her brother Michael, who was managing the band. Like other music producers at the time, Most was looking for a female rock singer who could fill the void created by the death of Janis Joplin. According to the Encyclopedia of Popular Music, his attention to Quatro was drawn by her comeliness and skills as bass guitarist, singer and chief show-off in Cradle. She had also been attracting attention from Elektra Records and subsequently explained that according to the Elektra president, I could become the new Janis Joplin. Mickie Most offered to take me to England and make me the first Suzi Quatro. I didn't want to be the new anybody. Most had no interest in the other band members 19, and he had no idea at that time of how he might market Quatro. She spent a year living in a hotel while being nurtured by Most, developing her skills and maturing. Most later said that the outcome was a reflection of her own personality. Quatro's first single, Rolling Stone, was successful only in Portugal, where it reached No. 1 on the charts. This was a solo effort, although aided by people such as Duncan Brown, Peter Frampton, and Alan White. Subsequently, with the approval of Most, she auditioned for a band to accompany her. It was also after this record that Most introduced her to the songwriting and production team of Nicky Chin and Mike Chapman, who wrote songs specifically to accord with her image. She agreed with Most's assessment of her image, saying that his influence, at which some of his artists, such as Jeff Beck and Rod Stewart, balked, did not extend to manufacture, and that if he tried to build me into a Lulu, I wouldn't have it. I'd say go to hell and walk out. This was the height of the glam rock period of the 1970s, and Quatro, who wore leather clothes, portrayed a wild image while playing music that hinged mostly on a hard rock chug beneath lyrics in which scansion overruled meaning. In 1972, Quatro embarked as a support act on a UK tour with Thin Lizzy and headliners Slade. Rock Records arranged for her to use Thin Lizzy's newly acquired PA system during this, incurring a charge of £300 per week that enabled the Irish band to effectively purchase it at no cost to themselves. In May 1973, her second single Can the Can, 1973, which Philip Auslander describes as having seemingly nonsensical and virtually unintelligible lyrics, was a no.1 hit in parts of Europe and in Australia. Can the Can was followed by 3 further hits: 48 Crash, 1973, Daytona Demon, 1973, and Devil Gate Drive, 1974. Can the Can, 48 Crash and Devil Gate Drive each sold over 1 million copies and were awarded gold discs, although they met with little success in her native United States, where she had toured as a support act for Alice Cooper. Rock Records artists had generally not succeeded in the US, and her first album, Suzi Quatro, was criticized by Alan Batroc for its lack of variety, for its Quatro-written second-rate fillers, and for her voice, described as often too high and shrill, lacking punch or distinctive phrasing. Writing for Rolling Stone, Greg Shaw was also downbeat, saying that the album may be a necessary beginning. In 1973, Quatro played on the Cozy Powell hit Dance with the Devil, a track written by Mickie Most while Cozy Powell was part of the Rock Records roster. Musicians who acted as her backing band around this period included Alistair McKenzie, Dave Neal and Len Tuckey, with Robbie Blunt also being listed by some sources. Tuckey's brother, Bill, acted as tour manager. Suzi Quatro is mourning the death of a key member of her band from its heyday, veteran Bangor musician Alistair McKenzie. Alistair played keyboards for the original Suzi Quatro band, and is credited with arranging the memorable piano intro to one of their UK #1 hits, Devil Gate Drive. Well guys, what are your thoughts? Do tell us. Thanks for watching.